Good day, friends. I hope you're doing really well. This is Tracy Brown, and my team and I of non-diet dietitians provide trauma-informed care so you can feel safer in your own skin. And we are doing our part 2 of this week's video, kind of series, I guess, around, when we are in recovery and there's maybe multiple parts of the journey to feeling more thriving that you'd like to see accomplished. You want to feel better. You want to be less food preoccupied. You want to feel less tired. You want to improve your body image. You want to move in a way that's not compulsive. You want to or you're willing to be willing to have body acceptance, but you're not really sure what options you have. We're going to talk about that for you today because this is the video. Then in our first video this week, we talked about the reasons why we get so overwhelmed, all the dysregulation, all the developmental trauma, all the here and now pressures to be knee-jerk and, wanting things quick fix and all that kind of stuff, where that comes from. So if you're not really sure, and I do always encourage people when they watch these videos to take notes, treat it as a little non-official process session for yourself. But if you're not really sure why you're even so overwhelmed and you don't want to go back to diet culture, you don't want to go back to doing dogmatic stuff to yourself, essentially, because that's all you know, well, that's a video for you to figure out, what's going on here. But this video is for, all right, I recognize that some of the things that get in my way are there's just so many things to work on that I don't know where to start. That's typically why we have overwhelm. We might have overwhelm because there's just, this hurts and that's preoccupying and what do I do about that judgment? There's that. The here and now, emotions, beliefs, sensations, thoughts. And then there's the memory time stuff of it feels scary to be that embodied, that caring, that responsible for whatever reason, right? And that was for you all to kind of process. But so in this video, again, we're going to talk about where do you start? So a couple of things I'll share today is that it's really important, and I've talked about this in many, many videos, is to take some time to do your own kind of too much or not enough history, meaning do your own nutrition and weight history of how did I get here? How did I get to the place where maybe some health issues? It doesn't mean you did anything, by the way. It just means you want to understand the big picture. And if you've been watching these videos, you know that that chronic dysregulation, basically chronic stress, living in this fight or flight, freeze or please, wears out our body systems, regardless of what you're doing with your food or your movement or lack thereof. And so let's say you're struggling with some kind of health condition, whatever it is. And again, the culture, via all the different systems, the diet culture and the medical and the fitness and the entertainment and fashion, all that, they realize well, you're sick because it's your fault. You're not thin because it's your fault. And there's no nuance to okay, how did I get here? Oh gosh, yeah. I spent my teenage years not eating enough. I spent my college years restricting and binging or over-exercising. I spent my 30s underslept from working too much or people-pleasing all the people and taking care of all the people, maybe your 40s too. And here we are at some point in your life, and whether it's now's the time, I'm going to do some I'm going to stick this out. I'm going to be willing to be uncomfortable to do this recovery process and or work on kind of turn the ship here with my health a little bit. And we recognize we've got to go backwards. We've got to eliminate some of these too much or add in some of the too little. All these decades of having neglect, essentially, neglect that was mirrored, neglect that was done to us, neglect that we kind of took the ball and ran with it. I've done it too, to kind of do to myself health-wise, behavior-wise, what was mirrored and, being overworking or whatever it was. And And that takes a toll. So being able to understand that history is so important, that anything you're wanting to change today, you've been doing the same thing. You've been doing whatever you've been doing for years, maybe decades and decades. So it's going to take a lot more than time than just like a quick fix program to turn the ship and to look at all the nuances and factors. So I guess that's intervention number one, is understand your history of the length of time that it's taken your body to really be struggling. It didn't happen overnight. So turning this ship isn't going to happen overnight either. It's going to take daily little things, no perfectionism, but just like one thing at a time. So that's point two, is maybe an easier reach for you is going to be focusing on your sleep. It's really easy to stay up late and stay distracted and scroll and watch movies and do whatever we're doing because maybe we're dreading the next day. Maybe you didn't get any or enough connection or time to yourself or joy, and we're staying up too late, doing whatever we're doing, right? Maybe that's the area you start with first. Maybe you're, of course, I work with a lot of people with different metabolic issues or gut health issues, and we can't always make significant food changes yet because we're still working on our relationship with food and separating out that food changes don't have to be caloric restriction. They can just be making slow changes that help with our symptomology. But maybe we can't even do that yet, but we can start with water, supplements, whatever we need to do to at least get something started to build that neural pathway. All right. And I think the third point I'll make in this video, and we'll call it a day here, is we have to be patient. We have to be compassionate, be a compassionate witness, and be patient with ourselves. It's going to take some time. Like I said earlier in the video, that we didn't get here yesterday. It's taken decades to get this place where we're feeling overwhelmed. And so, again, let's break it down to each section of the places that we feel like we would and you could use some change or support with, and take each step at a time. It could be your mental health as well. I won't go, into that core of things, but maybe where you're at is just learning. This is something, and we teach people, we're not mental health providers, but we do understand the physiology of stress, of fight, flight, freeze, or please. And we teach people how to recognize that there's a difference between biological hunger and fullness and the sensations that are right along with your hunger fullness signals that would indicate threat or stress. And they're in sometimes the same areas, or maybe it's here or here, and start to recognize that if we don't name what we're experiencing, we might go to a default of either shutting down and pretending like it's not happening, which by default is going to make us more numb to our hunger and fullness, or it makes us fight or flight, which definitely delays, slows down gastric motility and interoceptive awareness. And so maybe you're going to start in that direction first too, before you ever make any food changes or movement changes or whatever you want to do. We just want to start somewhere. So I hope this video was helpful. This video really does go with Monday's video, so please watch both together. They're meant to be sequential to help you understand the overwhelm, where it's coming from, to help you stay out of the trap and the trick of expecting something to overnight change things, a program or a pill or any of those kind of things. It's like, this is really very much an unfolding process. It's more like working with an onion than it is like popping a pill, essentially. And the more we can settle into like appreciating maybe that process and journey, even though I know it's uncomfortable, just the results of that are, we can't go back. Sometimes when we struggle, I'm just gonna hijack myself here a second, that sometimes we think, oh, if I could only be like that time in my life, or this could come back again. It's like, that can't happen. We want the version of ourselves without all this activation, with being able to be, again, compassionate witnesses to ourselves with our food and our movement and all the things. And we have to recognize that takes time, and that takes witnessing. And that's how you're going to get, honestly, results. I'm not talking about weight loss results. I'm talking about, I like who I am. I'm more know where I stand. I am more regulated. I am I can take a piece of health information that I read and really critically think about it, and what's the agenda of this, and what's the long term of this, and is that something sustainable? That does even doing that change match my values of how I want to show up in the world with other people, and all that kind of stuff. That's the kind of process of change I'm talking about, that will help us long term feel less overwhelmed. So thank you for watching this video, and I hope maybe for some of you it's validating the journey you're on. Maybe for some of you it's brand new and you're like, whoa, really? You're blowing my brain that you're not going to tell me what to do, basically. No, we don't tell anybody what to do. We partner with people to help them see the big picture of where it is what they really want. Because sometimes people say, oh, when I lose weight, I feel so much happier. Okay, considering what you have to do that, is it happiness? Or is it just the trained relief that we're taught that we're going to have when our bodies are different, and there's going to be some attachment yummies that come with it, or it gets you a little more distance from your fear of rejection, whatever it is. We do the long haul kind of things to help you have lasting recovery. So thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next videos. Bye for now.